My name is Elias, and it's not easy to remember what I experienced, much less to speak out loud. But if what I saw served to awaken me, perhaps it will serve you too. I lived with the same woman for 18 years. Anna was the kind of wife everyone envied. Elegant, discreet, active in church, always with a Bible under her arm. She was seen as a servant of God, the kind who seems to shine when she enters the church. And I was the blessed husband, the man that God had chosen for her. But what you're about to discover now may surprise you. In the early years of our marriage, everything seemed fine. We prayed together. We served in ministry. But over time, a different kind of silence began to take over our home. It wasn't a silence of fighting. It was a spiritual silence, an emptiness that I couldn't explain. It was as if the sky had closed in on us. I tried to understand. I asked her, and she always said, "It's tiredness, Elias, that's all." But at night, she became someone else. It started slowly. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and she wouldn't be in bed. I would go looking for her and find her on her knees, eyes closed, mumbling words that didn't sound like prayers. Sometimes in the children's room, sometimes in the backyard, always at midnight, always hidden. Have you ever been there? Have you ever felt like something wasn't right, but you couldn't prove it? The atmosphere in our home was getting heavy. The services no longer touched me. The songs that used to make me cry became just melodies. I started having nightmares, paralysis, strange sounds in the middle of the night. Until one day, I woke up with her standing next to me, looking at me, in silence. That chilled me to my soul. That's when I began to seek. I went to the mountain. I fasted. I prayed in anger, in tears, in desperation. I asked God to reveal if there was any hidden sin under my roof. I didn't want to live in the dark anymore, and He answered, but not in the way I imagined. One night, my body locked up. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. And then I felt like my soul was being ripped out of me. I floated above my bed, saw my body lying there, and then I was pulled, as if by an invisible force, fast, dark, cold. I tried to scream, but I had no voice. The place I arrived at was not a dream. It was real, and the smell, the screams, the pain. These are things that not even human words can explain. But before I continue, listen to me carefully. If at any point during my testimony you felt a chill, a memory, a doubt, leave it here in the comments. Tell me what went through your mind. Have you ever suspected something like this? Have you ever had that feeling that something spiritual is hidden inside your home? Sometimes opening your heart in a comment is the first step to freeing yourself from an invisible prison. And if this testimony is moving you in any way, click the like button right now. This will help this message reach farther. Many people are in the dark, living with hidden sins around them without even knowing it. Every like, every click pushes this truth to more people who need to hear it. And if you, like me, believe that God still reveals, still saves, still shows what is hidden, subscribe to the channel here. There is much that I still need to tell you. Real testimonies, spiritual experiences, truths that hell wanted to keep silent. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of teaching. It's not just a video, it's a warning, it's a cry. It's God using stories like mine to touch those who are drowning without realizing it. Now what happened after that was even scarier. I thought I had seen the worst. But what was about to be revealed about my wife left me in shock. I met Anna when I was a young woman at church. We got closer little by little, always at youth events. We sang together in the choir, did evangelism in the squares, and participated in vigils. It was the kind of relationship that everyone admired. The relationship didn't last long because everyone said that we already belonged to each other. We got married with a pastoral blessing, prayer on our knees, and tears of joy. At first, I saw her as a woman of faith. She inspired me. I would wake up in the middle of the night and she would be with the Bible open, taking notes, writing down verses, fasting for our children, who we didn't even have yet. We prayed together every night. She encouraged me to seek more of God, to dedicate myself. In the eyes of the church, we were the perfect couple. The pastor used us as an example. Look at Brother Elias and Sister Anna. That is marriage in Christ. For the first 5 years, we just grew. We had 2 children. We built our house. She began leading the intercessory group. The women sought advice from her. They said they wanted to be like her. And me? I was just grateful. I thanked God every day for giving me a wife like that. I worked hard to support our home, while she took care of the boys, the church, and our faith. But over time, something began to change. It was subtle, small absences, silences, changes in the way people looked. I tried not to see it. I preferred to believe it was tiredness, routines, tasks. But my spirit was already restless. The prayers that used to flow between us began to become monologues. I spoke to God. She was silent. The room that used to be a place of worship became a cold space, as if something invisible had entered and decided to stay. She said she was tired, and I believed her. After all, who doesn't get tired with 2 small children, a house to take care of, and a demanding ministry? But that wasn't all. She started going out to vigils alone, praying at increasingly odd hours, and sometimes she would come back looking different, with a closed face, with sunken eyes. The atmosphere changed when she came home. I remember one day, right after one of these vigils, I tried to hug her, and she backed away, as if she was afraid of me, as if my presence bothered her. It was then that something inside me started to scream. But I didn't know what it was yet. I just felt it. I felt that something was wrong. If you have ever experienced something like this, a feeling that no one sees but that tightens your chest, comment below with the word "silence kills," because silence was the first warning of a secret that was still going to destroy me from within. Over time, that once peaceful silence became something thick, a presence that sat between us at the table, on the couch, even in bed. Her prayers continued, but they seemed empty, automatic, as if she were reading words she no longer understood. I watched. I tried not to judge. But there was a distance growing, inch by inch, between her gaze and mine. And when I asked, she smiled, a lifeless smile. "It's just tiredness, my love." Always the same sentence, but my heart didn't believe it anymore. It was a burden, a constant feeling that something was wrong, very wrong. I started waking up in the middle of the night with a strange chill running down my spine. Sometimes I would hear light footsteps around the house. And there she was, walking back and forth, silently, as if she was looking for something, or as if she was hiding something. One night I found the door to the children's room ajar. I went over to her. She was inside, alone, sitting on the floor, staring into space, mumbling words I didn't understand. I knelt down slowly and asked, "Anna, is everything okay?" She turned her face slowly, as if she had come out of a trance, and answered in a low voice, "God is dealing with me." From then on, she began to pray at midnight, every night, always alone. She would close the door, turn off the light, and stay there for hours. One time, curious and worried, I put my ear to the door. But it wasn't prayer. It was something else. It sounded like a conversation, as if there was someone else in the room. Her voice changed. It would get lower, then louder, then she would cry. But it wasn't a cry of repentance. It was something strange, stifled, as if she were being consumed from within. One morning, I woke up with a weight on my chest so heavy that I thought I was going to die. I went to the kitchen to get some water and heard a sound coming from the backyard. It was her, kneeling on the wet earth, her hands raised to the sky, shouting words that seemed to be in strange languages. The moonlight fell on her face, and for a moment, I swear, I didn't recognize her. It was my wife's body, but it wasn't her anymore. I tried to confront her the next day. I asked her what was going on. She looked down and said simply, "There are things between me and God that you wouldn't understand." That was the first time I felt fear. Fear of being married to someone I no longer knew. Fear of what lurked in the darkness of our house. Fear of what she did when everyone else was asleep. If you have ever felt that something spiritual was moving in your home and no one else seemed to notice, tell me below. Why, I tried to keep up the routine. I read the Bible every day, as I always did. But the words didn't come through anymore. They were loose, empty letters, as if the spirit had gone silent. With each page turned, there was silence. With each prayer said, an echo. There was no answer, only emptiness. A weight, as if heaven were locked, and my soul, forgotten, outside. The praise that had once flowed through our home had disappeared. The hymns we had played together seemed to irritate her now. She turned off the music. She closed the curtains. She complained about the discomfort. She said she preferred silence. But it wasn't a peaceful silence. It was a thick, suffocating silence, as if something invisible had taken up space between us. The lights in our house were going out, and I didn't know why. The children became quieter. They slept badly. They began to have nightmares. They woke up crying, saying they saw shadows in the room. And I, as a father and a man of faith, felt helpless. I knew that something spiritual was at work there, but I could not identify its origin. Everything I did seemed in vain. Prayers became effort, fasting, despair, but nothing changed. The atmosphere between Anna and me also changed. She avoided contact. She gave short answers. Sometimes she looked at me with a mixture of pity and anger, as if she knew, something that I didn't know, but that I had already accepted. I started to blame myself. I thought the problem was with me. Had I sinned? Had my faith grown cold? Had God abandoned me? I tried to seek help. I spoke to a pastor, but I kept the details to myself. I only said that the atmosphere in my house was strange. He prayed with me, but I felt no relief. It was as if a cloud had descended upon my home, and it wasn't the glory of God. It was a presence I couldn't name, but it was there, and it seemed to grow stronger every night. I began to realize that Anna's midnight prayers were no longer prayers. She was not calling on the name of Jesus. There was no clamor. There were murmurs, rituals, words repeated in another tone, another language that was not from heaven. And I was still reluctant to accept the obvious. And that's when I understood. God's presence had left my house. And in its place, another presence entered. A presence that brought heaviness, confusion, discouragement, and fear. And the scariest thing is that it all seemed to come from within, not from without. If you have ever felt your home change spiritually without explanation, write here in the comments, "My home has lost its peace." It may seem small, but it can help someone to awaken. And that night, when I woke up in the middle of the night and saw the bedroom door half open, that was when everything began to be revealed. It was always between 3 and 4 in the morning. A strange, heavy hour, as if time itself had changed. I would wake up suddenly without an alarm, without any noise, and she wasn't by my side. The first time it happened, I thought she had gone to the bathroom. But when half an hour passed and she hadn't come back, I got up. I found the bedroom door ajar. The lights were off. The whole house was silent. But there was a murmur, a low, insistent sound coming from the back room. I walked slowly. My heart was pounding as if it knew something was wrong, but my mind was still resisting. When I reached the door, I saw the scene through the crack. Anna was sitting on the floor, her eyes closed, hands on her knees, and she was whispering something that was not a prayer. It wasn't the voice I knew. It wasn't the peace I felt when I heard her speak to God. It was a different intonation, a different rhythm, dry, repeated words, as if she were being used. I recoiled. My whole body froze. I went back to bed, not knowing what to think. In the morning, I pretended I hadn't seen anything. But that sound stuck in my head. Something inside me said, "Don't ignore this." The next night it happened again. Same time, same silence, same ritual. And once again she came back to her room as if nothing had happened. I asked, "Were you praying?" She looked at me with a disconcerting serenity and replied, "Yes, I was interceding." But I didn't feel the Spirit of God there. It was as if her words were covered by a dark veil, as if they didn't come from heaven. As the days went by, the episodes repeated themselves. And the more I tried to seek God, the heavier the atmosphere became. The early mornings became torment. And one night, I couldn't take it anymore. I went to her and asked her firmly, "Anna, who are you praying to?" She opened her eyes slowly as if waking up from a trance, and in a voice that didn't sound like hers, she replied, "You wouldn't understand." That shook me. I stood still. A chill ran down my spine, and for the first time, I was afraid of my own wife, not physically, but spiritually, as if she were being used by something I didn't understand. Now hold on tight, because what started happening to my body over the next few nights was terrifying. The nights became my greatest enemy. Before, we would lie down together and pray in low voices. But over time, even the silence of the early morning seemed to carry something dark. I began to have heavy dreams. In some of them, I saw figures in the corner of the room. Other times, I felt as if someone was lying between us, and it wasn't Anna. It was like a weight, a coldness that covered half the bed. I would wake up startled, but she remained still, her eyes closed. Or at least she pretended to be. It wasn't long before the dreams evolved into something worse, sleep paralysis. I would wake up in the middle of the night, unable to move a muscle. I would feel a presence watching me. One of those times, I managed to open my eyes. And there she was, standing next to the bed, looking at me. She didn't say a word. She just looked at me. And there was something in that look. It wasn't my wife. Or rather, it was her body. But there was something inside her that I couldn't explain. It chilled my soul. I became afraid to sleep. And when I did, my dreams were all the same. A deep male voice would whisper things in my ear. I never saw his face. But I remember one phrase clearly. "She's not what she seems." I would wake up sweating, with my heart racing. And Anna would always be awake. Sometimes watching me, sometimes kneeling in the dark, but never asleep. I tried to talk. I told her I was worried, that I was being spiritually attacked. But she smiled, pretending it was an exaggeration. "You've been watching too much stuff," she said. But I knew it wasn't my imagination. My spirit was at war, and there was something wrong inside my own house, inside my own bed. It was at that moment that I realized there was only one way to overcome this, by going straight to the source, not human, but divine. I needed an answer that came from heaven, not from her lips. If you've ever felt your soul surrounded by something you can't explain, write here in the comments, "I felt the weight." Maybe you'll understand what I experienced and what led me to do what I did next. Because at that point, I either sought God with all my strength, or I would be destroyed inside. After that last night, I could no longer sleep peacefully. It was as if something had been lit inside me, a calling. That phrase I heard in the dream, "She is not what she seems," repeated itself in my mind like a drum beating deep in my soul. I tried to convince myself that I was exaggerating, that maybe I was just tired or paranoia. But my spirit would not rest. And the more I tried to act normally, the more everything around me seemed to cry out for an answer. Anna's gaze, increasingly distant, her smiles that no longer reached her eyes, and the spiritual presence in my house, which had turned into an invisible cold. All of this pushed me towards only one path, to seek God with all my strength. It was then that I decided to climb the mountain. I didn't tell anyone. I took my backpack, my Bible, a bottle of water, and went. I stayed there for 7 days. 7 days of silence, tears, confession, and surrender. Fasting, crying, breaking down before God. I said, "Lord, if there is hidden sin within my house, show me. Reveal what my eyes cannot see. Remove the veil of lies. Open the heavens over me." On the 3rd day, the weight of the fast began to merge with the weight of the Spirit. I saw figures in the middle of the forest. I heard footsteps that were not mine. I felt cold, but also a strange heat, as if a battle were taking place all around me. On the 5th day, I began to have visions. At first, I thought it was just my tired mind, but the clarity of the images was supernatural. I saw my house. I saw my wife. I saw the door to our bedroom open by itself at midnight, and she walked towards the backyard. But there, in the backyard, something was waiting for her. It was not human, and it was not from God. Then a voice said to me, "You have asked. Now see." On the night of the 7th day, as I prayed on my knees on the stones, the presence of the Lord descended upon me so intensely that my bones shook. I tried to scream. I tried to call Anna, but nothing came out, just the sound of my heart beating terrifiedly inside my head. Then everything went dark. Not like when we turned off the light. It was different. It was like a shadow was covering me from the inside. My vision disappeared, and suddenly I found myself floating above my own body, staring at myself lying there, paralyzed, my eyes wide with terror. The image of my pale, motionless face froze me, and next to the bed, there she was, Anna, standing, watching me. But she didn't seem like the same woman. There was something in her gaze, something I couldn't describe. Before I could comprehend, an invisible force pulled me in. My spiritual body was torn away like a piece of paper being sucked into a whirlpool. I was thrown into a dark tunnel, endless, no ground, no direction, and the further I went down, the more I felt an unbearable heat take over. Screams, thousands of screams echoing from all sides, the sound of chains, distorted voices, people crying out for help. But there was no answer. I tried to hold on to something, anything, but there was nothing to hold on to. It was like falling into a living abyss, where every second seemed like an eternity. Fear took over my soul, and despair. That despair that only those who have had a near-death experience will understand. I knew it. Something terrible was about to happen, and I couldn't stop it. In the midst of that endless fall, a voice whispered something that cut me to the core. "You asked to see, so see." And in that instant, I understood that what was about to be revealed went beyond my wife. It went beyond me. It was something spiritual, something that was hidden. If you felt what I felt at that moment, comment below. Lord, open my spiritual eyes. Because what my eyes saw next was something that not everyone is ready to face. I thought I had known fear before. I thought I had felt pain before. But what I experienced after being sucked into that dark tunnel was something not 1,000 lifetimes could prepare me for. Suddenly I was thrown violently onto a hot, uneven floor. The air burned my lungs. A suffocating smell of sulfur, burning flesh, and rot permeated everything. It was as if the very air was tainted with hatred. The darkness there was not just an absence of light. It was alive, as if it had eyes, as if it were looking inside me. And even without seeing clearly, I heard the screams. So many, coming from all sides. Souls screaming for help, crying out for water, for forgiveness. But there everything was silent for God. A silence that hurt more than any scream. The pain of the souls was not just physical, it was the pain of knowing that the chance had passed. I saw demons, deformed creatures, laughing, feeding on pain, crawling over people like worms. Some dragged souls on chains, whipping them with pleasure. Others just watched, as if they were waiting their turn. And the worst thing was recognizing faces, people I knew, church brothers, men and women who, to human eyes, were blameless. Singers, leaders, workers, all there, covered in flames, their eyes burning but conscious. And they looked at me. They looked at me as if they knew I was still alive, as if they were trying to say, "Come back, let us know, shout for us." One man in particular touched me deeply. It was Brother Marcos from our old congregation. He had always been quiet, always helping the young people. He was there, in the fetal position, with watery eyes and his body covered in maggots. When he saw me, he screamed, "Elijah, get me out of here! Get me out of here!" And right after that, a demon came up behind him, dragged him like an animal, and disappeared into the darkness. This made me fall to my knees. I tried to pray. I tried to cry out. But it seemed like my mouth no longer had a voice. That was when I felt a presence approaching. A presence unlike any other there. It wasn't dark. It was worse. It was as if all the evil in the world was embodied in it. And then I heard the voice again. "Do you want to see what she did at midnight? Well, you will." If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "Lord, deliver me from the deception that leads to perdition." Because what my eyes would see next would change everything I believed. As I walked, or rather was led, through that place of darkness, something inside me began to open. It was as if scales were falling from my eyes. I could see not only with the eyes of my body, but also with those of my soul. It was as if God was showing me what lay behind appearances. Hell was not populated only by murderers or witches. It was largely filled with religious people who had learned to hide their sins behind pretty speeches and positions in the church. I saw a woman singing. Her voice was sweet, in tune, captivating. But in hell, all that came out of her mouth were screams of pain. It was Sister Deborah, a well-known singer, always invited to conferences. I saw demons around her, mocking her. She didn't want the presence. She wanted the stage. She wanted to be seen, adored. And then one of them stuck a stake in her throat, and she screamed, not for forgiveness, but for recognition. She still tried to sing, even in torment. That broke my heart. Further on, I came across a man chained to a burning pulpit. His eyes were open, but dull. He was a pastor I had seen preach many times. His messages were strong. But there, the demons called him a hypocrite. One of them shouted, "He preached against adultery, but he slept with 3 women from the church." and they beat him with books that looked like Bibles but were on fire. He cried, saying that he repented in the end. But a voice answered, "Your repentance was out of fear of exposure, not out of fear of God." And then he was swallowed by a crack that opened in the ground. These visions continued. Workers, musicians, preachers, all with familiar faces. People who had walked with me, who had shared supper with me. People who said, "Glory to God," with ease, but hid their hearts in darkness. And at that moment, an understanding tore through my spirit. Hell is full of people who preached what they did not live, who spoke of holiness with their lips, but negotiated sin with their eyes, with their hands, with their bodies. The pain I felt there was not just for the condemned souls. It was for the church, for us, for myself. How many times had I judged appearances and ignored the whisperings of the Spirit? How many times had I believed in ministries without discerning the fruit? And it was in this state of brokenness that I heard the voice again. Do you want to see what she did at midnight? Then look. If you are still here, write in the comments, "God, show me what my eyes cannot see," because what I saw right after was what tore my soul the most. I was already broken. I thought I could no longer feel pain beyond that, but I didn't know that the deepest blow was yet to come. I walked through that abyss of souls screaming, being devoured, humiliated, when next to a wall made of bones and screams, something paralyzed me. A whisper. It wasn't a common cry of despair. It was a lament with my name. "Elias." I froze. That voice. I knew that voice. I turned my face slowly, as if my body knew what it was going to find, but my mind didn't want to accept it. And there she was. Anna, the woman I had shared my home with for 18 years, the woman who prayed with me before bed, the one who held my hand at supper, the one who sang praises while washing the dishes, my wife, sitting in a cell made of chains that moved on their own, like living snakes. Chains that held her, but also seemed to feed on what she felt. She looked at me, and in that moment, my soul cried out inside. Her face was disfigured with pain, but it was still Anna. She reached out her hand, and the chains retracted as if they were afraid of our reunion. Her eyes filled with tears, and then she said, "Elijah, forgive me. I just wanted to be heard. I cried out so many times inside, but no one listened to me. I didn't understand. How was she there? How could that woman who was called a faithful servant be imprisoned among demons?" And before I could ask, she continued, "I got tired of being invisible, of doing everything right and being forgotten. I started trying to listen to other voices, and when I realized it, it was too late." She was crying, but there was a darkness in her eyes, an abyss of guilt that no apology seemed to reach. Behind her, I heard the demons whispering to each other. She deceived with tears. She knelt, but never gave in. She wanted applause, not brokenness. I knelt down. I wanted to touch her, but an invisible barrier of fire separated me, and in that moment, I understood that this was not a dream. It was a revelation, and more than that, a warning. All I could say was, "Why, Anna?" And the silence that came after was like a tomb closing. If this part of the story touched you in any way, write here in the comments, "Lord, free me from appearances and reveal the truth." Because what Anna confessed next was the root of the evil that entered our home. Her words still echoed inside me. I just wanted to be heard. But in that place, nothing was said by chance, and everything that was hidden, there came to light. While I was still trying to understand Anna's presence in that torment, voices began to emerge from the darkest corners. They were not human screams. They were cold whispers, like wind that cuts the soul. They emerged from behind the walls, from holes in the floor, from the living shadows. Demons, deformed, mocking, began to surround her. And one of them, taller, with eyes like burning coals, pointed at me and said, laughing, "You didn't know, did you? You slept peacefully while she served us." My chest tightened. I screamed, "That's a lie. She was a believer. She prayed. She fasted with me." And they laughed. Not just any laugh. It was a mockery that cut through any weak faith. And then another of them spoke, drawing out the words like blades. "Every midnight while you slept, she lit the black candle. Chanted words men do not understand, and made pacts for status, for healing, for control." I still wanted to deny it, but one of them held up what looked like a mirror made of smoke, and the image formed before me. I saw our room. Anna was kneeling. The candle was lit on the floor. Her hands were shaking, her eyes were closed, and words were coming out of her mouth. Words I had never heard in my life. She was crying. But it wasn't regret. It was despair mixed with anger. And around her, shadows moved like hungry snakes. She said, "Listen to me. Answer me. I have done everything you asked." The morning after that night of the vision, I remembered waking up to find her already dressed, Bible in hand, singing praises in the kitchen. And now I knew. It was the same mouth. My soul screamed inside. I looked at that image and didn't want to believe it. But the eyes don't lie in the spiritual world. I was seeing it, and it was true. One of the demons came close to my ear and whispered, "You were praying to heaven." But she was already answering to hell. If you felt a lump in your throat hearing this, comment here. Lord, reveal to me what my eyes do not see. Because what was shown next revealed that the hole was even deeper than I imagined. The smoke mirror did not disappear. On the contrary, it seemed to take on a life of its own. The shadows that had once surrounded me receded, as if what was coming now was too sacred even for them. I trembled. My soul ached. But my eyes remained fixed. It was as if the sky itself was forcing me to see. The first image was old. Anna was still a teenager. She was sitting in a circle of dirt, surrounded by candles lit in bottles. A hooded man was holding a book. The words that came out of his mouth were not human, and she repeated them, trembling but firm, with tears in her eyes, but without hesitation. That night she gave something. I don't know if it was her heart or her soul, but she gave it, and it was accepted. The image changed. Now, it was the day of our baptism. I held her, smiling, without knowing that behind the white veil, there was a past that had never been renounced. She dived into the waters, but came out with the same hidden pact. There, she was not born again. She just put on a prettier mask. Then, scenes from our wedding, the church in celebration, the hymns being sung, the hugs. And at the altar, while I declared my eternal love, she looked away for a second, as if something was stopping her from looking at God. At that moment, a subtle shadow touched her hand. No one saw it. Only now do I realize it. The next image cut through my soul. It was our room, years later. She was on the floor again, but this time without despair, just coldness. She was drawing symbols with dark powder, and she was saying names I had never heard, but that I now understand. They were entities, presences that accompanied her. Some of them were with me there in hell. I recognized their faces and the demons around me. What destroyed me the most was seeing the final sequence. She was in the church, eyes closed, hands raised, the same face of someone who worships, but inside, a prison. I saw invisible chains holding her hands, even as she sang. And behind her, the shadow of the same man from the youth ritual. He never left. He just kept quiet. And now, he smiled. The smoke dissipated as if it had done its job. I stood there, alone. The silence that settled there was louder than any scream I had heard in hell. It wasn't an empty silence. It was a silence that spoke. That tightened my chest. And then, without anyone announcing it, I knew I was standing before him. The presence filled the room like a sacred weight. There was no face. There was no visible throne. But I knew. It was the just one, the holy one, the all-seeing one. And it was at that moment that I heard it. The voice. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. But its firmness pierced me through like a red-hot sword. She served in the church, but she never gave me her heart. Those words tore me apart. It was like I had been punched in the soul. I tried to argue, to scream, to defend myself, but my mouth wouldn't move, because deep down I knew. There was always something hidden, an inexplicable weariness in her soul, a false glow in her smile, the absence of peace even in prayer. The voice continued as if reading one's deepest thoughts. She divided the worship. At the altar she chanted my name, but in secret her covenant spoke louder. I knocked at the door, but she kept the locks on the inside. I cried. I fell to my knees. I reached out, trying to reach her in that cell where she still lay, chained, surrounded by shadows that laughed softly. And she saw me. Our eyes met, and for the first time in all those years, I saw real regret in hers. But before I could touch his fingers, something pulled me violently. An invisible force threw me back as if to say, "You don't belong here." And I understood. I was just a visitor, a living witness, a husband who had loved, but who had never known the truth that slept beside him. As my vision darkened again, a sound tore through the atmosphere, a cry, a scream that chilled me to the bone. It was her, Anna, being led before the throne. When I opened my eyes, everything seemed blurry. The white light of the hospital cut through my vision like a razor. The sound of the monitors, the smell of ether, the distant voices of nurses. Everything was too real, but at the same time, unreal. As if my soul was still floating, trapped between two worlds. The doctors said it was a collapse, a deep faint, followed by a seizure. But deep inside, I knew. I had come back from hell. My body felt light, but my heart was crushed. I was silent for days. No words came out of my mouth, only tears. My eyes filled and overflowed effortlessly, as if they were crying on their own, without my permission. Every memory of what I saw hurt me. Every scene, every scream, every truth revealed. It was as if my mind had been branded with fire. When I finally returned home, I entered with slow steps. That home was no longer a home. It was a battlefield, an altar of lies disguised as devotion. I went straight to the bedroom. I opened every drawer, every box, every corner. And I began to burn. One by one, I burned books that she hid behind the bookshelf. I burned images with empty eyes. I burned black candles, amulets wrapped in red cloth, objects that I didn't even understand, but that carried an invisible weight. As the fire consumed everything, a conviction grew within me. This wasn't just about her. It was about me, too. About my blindness. About the years I ignored the signs. About the services we attended side by side, even when God's presence had already left. About my silent omission. I sat on the living room floor and cried like a child. But this time, the crying had a purpose, because along with the tears came a mission. I understood that I was not taken to hell just to see. I was taken to tell, to warn, to not allow other homes, other marriages, other lives to be swallowed up by the same deception. If this part of the testimony spoke to you, comment here. God woke me up. After burning the objects and cleaning the rooms with my own hands, something inside me told me that it still wasn't enough. Evil doesn't just hide in things, it hides in cracks. And the biggest cracks were in the soul of my home, in the silences, in the traumas, in the closed rooms where my children cried alone while I pretended everything was fine. So, for the first time in many years, I knelt with them, one by one. In the living room, in the hallway, inside the bedrooms, I anointed the doors with oil and raised my voice in prayer. It wasn't a pretty prayer. It was torn. It was screamed. It was from a father who now understood how much he had failed. I hadn't just neglected my wife. I had left my children alone in a spiritual war they didn't know how to fight. My oldest son was the first to break down. Through sobs, he confessed that he had been hooked on pornography since he was 13. He said he had tried to stop, that he prayed in secret, but he always went back. He hugged me and said, "Dad, I thought God had abandoned me." I cried with him, as if I could hear my own heart being heard out loud. The next day, my daughter, who was always so quiet, asked me to talk to her. We sat on the floor of her room. She talked about her depression, her panic attacks, and the nights she thought about disappearing. She said that sometimes she felt like there was a shadow in the room, that she dreamed of shadows, of hands trying to shut her mouth while she slept. My blood ran cold, but this time I didn't run away. I was there. I prayed with her. I anointed her head, and I saw with my own eyes something come out of that room, as if the atmosphere had been washed clean from the inside. The days that followed were filled with fasting, praise, and tears, but they were also filled with healing. We began to read the Bible together. We sang together. We laughed together. For the first time, we were a whole family, not in appearance, but in reality. Because when God's presence returned to my home, hell had no more room. If you understand what it is like to fight inside your home, comment here. Lord, restore my family. And as much as I have seen my home restored, my children free, and my faith rekindled, I still wake at night to the sound of the screams I heard in that place. The smell of sulfur, the distorted faces, the living chains, and the image of the woman I loved being dragged away, crying out for a second chance that never came. This taught me something that no amount of preaching had ever taught me. Hell is not a metaphor. Hell is a destination, and many are rushing to it with a smile on their face and a Bible in their hands. Hell is not just for those who kill or steal. It is for those who live on the surface but die on the inside. It is for those who light candles in secret and raise their hands in worship as if nothing had happened. It is for those who preach holiness from the pulpit and commit adultery in the next room. It is for those who hear the warnings of the Spirit and choose to ignore them. So, if you've been listening to this story this far, don't harden your heart. Don't wait for the ground to open up beneath your feet to understand that God doesn't want a disguise. He wants sincere repentance. He wants your dark room, your hidden addiction, your pain that no one sees. He wants the truth, because only the truth sets you free. And if you say now, sincerely, that you no longer want to live a divided life, He will hear you. He will cleanse you. He will restore you. And you will never be the same again. So if you are sorry, close your eyes and pray with me with a broken heart. Lord, have mercy on me. Because of your great compassion, blot out my sins. Cleanse me from all my iniquities and wash me from my sin. For I know my iniquities, and my sin is ever before me. Against you, you only, have I sinned and done what is evil in your sight. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me away from your presence, and do Not take your Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and sustain me with a willing spirit. If you prayed this prayer, write in the comments, Amen. And may the holy fear that visited my house now visit yours. If you've come this far, it's because something inside you was also touched. Maybe not by my words, but by the Spirit that breathed truth into each sentence. And if that's the case, then it makes sense to follow along. This channel is more than just stories. It's a space for confrontation and consolation, where those who seek truth find direction. So, if this content has awakened you, if it has made you reflect, I invite you to subscribe. That way, we can continue walking together. And if this message spoke to you in a special way, comment below, I give everything. This phrase may be simple, but sometimes it is the key to a new season. Also, leave your like, not for me, but for everything that was revealed here. And click on the hype button on the side, because that helps spread this seed further to others who also need to hear it. Oh, and before you leave, there's a video here on the side that completes all of this. Click and continue with me there. There's more light waiting for you.